Alright guys, in this episode we have a couple things on the agenda. We're going to go ahead and install the clutch master cylinder, clutch slave cylinder. We're going to bleed that, and hopefully we'll drive the car today. Now it is looking like it's going to rain, but hopefully we can knock this out quickly enough where we can take it out. So let's get started. All right, so now we just gotta tighten some stuff up, and then we'll be able to connect the two with this nice little hose. It actually connects from the brake master cylinder to the little nipple that's right on this guy. Currently playing daddy duty. Seems like I might have to go inside actually. Clutch pedals back in. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy connected. Clutch pedals in, master cylinders in, and line is attached. Now all we have to do is go ahead and add some fluid. So I got some .4 synthetic right up here that we'll go ahead and put into the system. All right, so we went ahead and temporarily got the dash installed. And the reason why it's just held in temporarily, we're actually gonna be working on my wiring for my Haltech and for the painless wiring harness. So we're gonna leave it out until that all gets situated. torn apart and looks like junk, but I've had this thing for so long. Like, it's just that awesome. Whew. All right. What a day. We definitely got a lot of things done. I'm super excited, right? Like, I haven't been able to drive this car in so long because of these small little problems, and they've added up onto this huge mountain of just like stress. I'm like, why are all these things not working? Well, that's kind of what happens, right? Like, you take an engine that isn't supposed to be in the car, put it in there, the car has, you know, a new harness, a new ECU, new this, new that, new everything. So there's definitely a lot of growing pains. And that's kind of what turned me off to the car so many years ago, because I didn't want to deal with it, right? Like, I was like, I don't have the money to pay someone else to fix it, and I prefer to work on my own cars anyways. So it just kind of got the better of me, right? But now, just kind of picking one thing, two things, just kind of work on and kind of unravel this huge mess, we're actually making some progress. So, like I said, the car hasn't driven in probably 6 years. So it felt really good to kind of get it out on the road. The car definitely needs a tune. It just has a base map that Haltech was able to send over to me right whenever I got the car wired up the very first time. I actually talked to the owner of Haltech all the way in Australia, and he was kindly enough to kind of build me out a map, because they didn't have one for the 1JZ VVTi. They had one for a 2J with a different crank angle sensor and some of these other things that he said that were different. But ultimately, we're driving the car. So that's a good one, right? So now that the car is mobile, we should be able to kind of take it back over to a good friend of mine's shop and get some of the other things looked at. So one, the oil leak that we're starting to see, or I'm starting to see. So I'm going to clean the engine really well, degrease everything, and see if I can figure out where that's coming from. We're also going to strengthen the transmission mount. If you don't know, the RX-7 doesn't use a typical transmission brace. It uses something called the power plant frame. That PPF connects the transmission and the differential together, and so they kind of stay in line. Well, because they use that system, they don't have actual mounts underneath the transmission. So, you know, the way that we fabricated everything, we used these 4 holes that were underneath the car that were for like a cross bracing, so to speak. So I'm not too sold on that. 2 of them were stripped out anyway, so basically there's not a whole lot holding this transmission up into the car. So we're gonna fix that and look at some electrical gremlins that I have. The electrical gremlins were probably the biggest reason that I was just over with the car. I'm not an electrician. I don't claim to be. I'm surprised the car works as well as it does. I did have some help getting that all kind of situated from a good friend of mine named Aaron, who runs a shop called Race Slab Fabrication. And but yeah, so we have this really interesting problem. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but yeah, it kind of pissed me off. Like, you have no idea. Like, the car would be running fine, turn on the headlights, and the blah, 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 dead. So, I'm gonna figure that out. But, huge success. So, that is all for this episode. Please like, subscribe, and if you are new, welcome. Please ring the notification bell, and I will be getting more content out to you guys shortly. Have a nice day.